Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into Five Nights Tower Defense, or FNTD for short, one of the most intense and addictive tower defense games out there right now. If you're a fan of animatronics and love strategizing to defend against wave after wave of enemies, then you're in for a treat. FNTD takes the best parts of the Five Nights universe and mixes it with some seriously challenging tower defense mechanics. But here's the thing, success in this game is all about picking the right animatronics for your squad. Trust me, you won't survive long if you're not bringing your A game with the best units. So, to help you dominate those leaderboards and fend off the toughest enemies, we've put together our definitive FNTD tier list. In this video, we're breaking down which animatronics you need to have on your team and which ones, well, let's just say they're better off staying in storage. Whether you're a newcomer looking to build the ultimate team or a veteran trying to perfect your strategy, this tier list has got you covered. Buckle up, grab your flashlight, and let's jump into the spooky strategic world of FNTD. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in Five Nights Tower Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. First, let's start with the best units in the early game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, Summer Toy Bonnie, and Foxy. Alright, so let's talk about some of the absolute yikes units you can start with in Five Nights Tower Defense. You know, the ones that make you go, why did I even bother placing this guy down? And trust me, there are a few that are just, well, let's say they didn't exactly survive the night. Kicking things off, we've got Toy Bonnie, and oh boy, this guy's stats are an absolute disaster. Like, out of all the epic units, this one is probably the most tragic. It's almost like he's not even trying. If you're looking for a unit to hold the line, Toy Bonnie ain't it, folks. And then there's Toy Freddy. Now, you'd think a big burly Freddy would bring some serious firepower, but nope. His range is about as wide as a pizza slice, and his DPS? A grand total of 20. That's right, 20. I mean, I've seen better damage from a plushie. If you're counting on Toy Freddy to save your base, you might as well start waving that game over screen goodbye. Oh, and I can't forget about Summer Toy Bonnie, our seasonal special that's, well, especially bad. Sure, she can slow enemies, but honestly, that's about all she's got going for her. You're way better off using literally any other starter unit instead. At this point, she's just a vacation disaster. And finally, Foxy. I love the guy, but as a melee unit in a TD game, it's just not working out. I mean, why bring a knife to a ranged fight, right? Foxy's cool and all, but he's not exactly the hero of the tower defense world. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Baker Toy Chica, Party Chica, Withered Chica, Sniper Cupcake, and Chica. Oh, you thought the early game in Five Nights Tower Defense was going to be a breeze, didn't you? Well, hold on, because our C-tier starter units might give you a reality check. Let's dive into these questionable picks. Some of them might make you wonder why you even bothered deploying them in the first place. Starting off, we have Baker Toy Chica. She's an explosion unit, so yeah, she's got a little bit of firepower to kick things off. But honestly, she's just alright if you're beginning your FNTD journey. Nothing too flashy, nothing too groundbreaking. Think of her as that friend who shows up to the party but doesn't bring any snacks. You're glad she's there, but she's not exactly making things exciting. Then there's Party Chica. Oh man, if she wasn't able to deal splash damage, she'd be sitting in D tier without a second thought. Her stats are, well, let's just say they're garbage at best. And don't even get me started on Sniper Cupcake. High range? Check. Low DPS? Big check. You can place 3 of them, but that's kind of a bummer when they can't do much damage in the first place. But hey, you gotta work with what you have when you're just getting started, right? The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rockin' Bonnie, Pirate Withered Foxy, Vendor Toy Chica, Buccaneer Foxy, Major Freddy, and Freddy. Alright, so let's dive into some of the B-tier starter units in Five Nights Tower Defense, and let me tell you, some of these picks might surprise you. First up, we've got Rockin' Bonnie. Now, Bonnie looks amazing on paper. Full AoE attacks sound like a dream, right? But when you actually put her in the game, you start to see where she falls short. There are just better options out there. It's not that she's useless, but if you're aiming for efficiency early on, she might not be your top pick. You'll probably find yourself wanting to replace her pretty fast as you progress. Next, let's talk Pirate Withered Foxy. This guy has some real potential, especially if you like a good starter unit. He's kind of like Major Freddy's little cousin, solid but not spectacular. Sure, he can hold his own early on, but if you're expecting insane DPS, you might want to manage those expectations. It's not that he's bad, he just doesn't hit as hard as you'd hope when the waves start piling up. Still, he's not a terrible choice if you're just starting out and need a reliable unit to get things moving. Now, for vendor Toy Chica. Think of her as Patriot Freddy, but, well, not as great. She's fine for the early waves, and honestly, she does what she's supposed to do. She's like the friend who's always there for you but doesn't quite bring the excitement. You won't regret having her around, but she won't be the one carrying you through the toughest spots. Then there's Buccaneer Foxy, and honestly, this one's kinda cool. It's like the upgraded Freddy. Higher placement count, better damage, cooldown, and range. It's a nice little package for the early game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Phantom Cupcake, Patriot Freddy, Endo02, Commando Endo, Rad Freddy, Nightmare Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Cowboy Freddy. Let's dive into the world of Five Nights Tower Defense and chat about some of the A-tier starter units that can kickstart your strategy in the game. These units are not just flashy, they pack a punch and are excellent for navigating those early waves. First up, we have the Phantom Cupcake. This little guy boasts one of the highest DPS among the starters, making him an absolute gem. Whether you're facing off against relentless waves of foes or just want something reliable, Phantom Cupcake is the way to go. Next on our list is Patriot Freddy, and let me tell you, he's a game changer. As an ultra-cheap explosion unit, he's perfect for those first few levels when resources are tight. He's great at dealing with large groups of enemies, which is essential in the early game. And let's not forget about Endo02. He might not be the top pick with Phantom Foxy overshadowing him, but he brings solid range and single-target DPS to the table. If you want a unit that can pick off enemies effectively, Endo02 has got your back. We also have Commando Endo, whose DPS might be on the lower side, but don't let that fool you. His summoned allies can dish out reasonable damage, making him a sneaky yet viable choice. And then there's Rad Freddy, a notable upgrade from Sniper Cupcake with almost double the DPS while maintaining similar stats. For those tightly packed story stages, Nightmare Freddy shines with solid single-target damage, albeit with a lower range. Finally, we can't overlook Funtime Foxy and Cowboy Freddy. Funtime Foxy offers decent splash damage, while Cowboy Freddy boasts fantastic range and DPS, even if he's a single-type unit. With these A-tier starters, you're sure to create an unstoppable strategy and have a blast doing it. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Elizabeth, Freddle, Witch Toy Chica, Tavern Chica, Bonnet, and Phantom Foxy. Alright folks, let's dive into the world of Five Nights Tower Defense and check out some of the top-tier starter units that will have you feeling like a pro right from the get-go. Starting strong is crucial, and these units are here to make your early game a breeze. First up, we've got Elizabeth. This gal is a total powerhouse. With her splash slow abilities and impressive DPS, she can take down mobs and bosses alike without breaking a sweat. The best part? Her upgrades are super cheap, meaning you can level her up without emptying your pockets. Trust me, you'll want her on your team to maintain a solid defense. Next in line is Witch Toy Chica. This little powerhouse is one of the best starters in the game. Not only is she budget-friendly, but she also has the versatility to tackle both bosses and regular mobs with ease. And we can't forget about Tavern Chica. This unit is practically overpowered for a starter. With her great damage output, range, and wide AoE splash attack, she'll make sure nothing gets past your defenses. Rounding out our S tier is Bonnet, another splash unit who packs a punch with solid DPS and range. Plus, he's incredibly cheap to deploy and upgrade, making him a must-have for any aspiring strategist. Finally, let's talk about Phantom Foxy. If you're looking for a cheap yet effective single-target DPS option, he's your guy. With a 4-placement limit, he can really shine in the early game. Overall, these S-tier starters will set you up for success in Five Nights Tower Defense, so make sure to give them a try in your next run. Now, let's see what else we can explore. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Fortified Endo02, Phone Guy, Purple Guy, Tarnished Spring Bonnie, Grim Foxy, and Jackpot Freddy. Alright, let's dive into the fascinating world of Five Nights Tower Defense and chat about some of the most impressive starter units that can take your gameplay to the next level. If you're on the hunt for some top-tier units to boost your strategies, look no further because I've got a lineup that'll knock your socks off. First up, we have Fortified Endo02, who is absolutely crushing the DPS game among starter units. Sure, his recipe is a bit of a resource sink, but if you can pull it off, he's definitely worth it. Now, if you're looking for something that combines versatility and power, Phone Guy is your go-to. With his full AoE attacks, amazing damage output, and ability to slow enemies, he holds his own even against the likes of the Crying Child in the late game. He's like the Swiss Army knife of the unit world, providing everything you need for a solid defense. Next, let's talk about Purple Guy. This little legend spawns turrets that come equipped with incredible range and damage. It's like having your own mini army. And how could I forget about Tarnished Spring Bonnie? While she's melee, her insane damage and range make her a force to be reckoned with. Just be prepared for a little grind to get her on your team, as she can be a tough catch compared to other units like Patriot Freddy or Witch Toy Chica. Last but not least, we have Grim Foxy and Jackpot Freddy. Grim Foxy's splash attacks are seriously impressive, and he's easily one of the best starters right now. And Jackpot Freddy? Not only does he deal solid damage, but he also brings in some extra cash. Just make sure to invest in something to boost his range for maximum impact. With these units in your arsenal, you'll be well on your way to dominating the tower defense scene. Now it's time for the best units in the mid-game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Cupcake Tank, Balloon Boy, Golden Freddy, Nightmare Chica, and Toy Chica. Alright, let's dive right into the nitty-gritty of the D-tier mid-game units in Five Nights Tower Defense. Trust me, you're gonna want to hear about these choices, and spoiler alert, they're not exactly shining stars in the lineup. First up, we have the Cupcake Tank. Honestly, this unit is like the kid who brings a spoon to a knife fight, totally underwhelming. Its summons are so irrelevant that I had to give it its own tier just to emphasize how useless it is. Seriously, if you find yourself relying on the Cupcake Tank during mid-game, it's time to reconsider your strategy because this one's going to do absolutely nothing for you. Next, let's chat about Balloon Boy. Picture this, he's just like Toy Chica, but with a price tag that's 4 times higher. I mean, what's the point? It's like paying premium prices for instant ramen. It just doesn't add up. And if that wasn't enough, we have Golden Freddy in the mix. With a DPS so low it might as well be a cardboard cutout, and a cost that'll leave your wallet feeling a little lighter, he's not doing you any favors. Nightmare Chica isn't much better either. With her high cost, low range, and relatively low DPS, she barely scrapes by in terms of usefulness. Finally, we have Toy Chica, who unfortunately rounds out this disappointing lineup with her own low range and total DPS. In the world of Five Nights TD, these units are definitely best left on the sidelines while you hunt for better options. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, 7C's Foxy, Bonnie, Nightmare Balloon Boy, Coco Boy, Nightmare Cupcake, and Withered Foxy. Alright, let's dive into the world of Five Nights Tower Defense and talk about some of the mid-game units in the C tier. You know, those characters that might not quite make the cut, but still have their moments in the spotlight. First up is 7C's Foxy. Now, while he might not be the powerhouse that Leviathan Mangle is, he's got a longer range that can be super helpful when you're dealing with pesky mobs. Think of him as your trusty sidekick. Great to have around, but maybe not the star of the show. Then we have Bonnie, who really feels like a step down from Withered Freddy. Sure, he boasts higher range, but his damage per second just doesn't keep up. And let's be real, the higher placement and upgrade costs make it tough to justify adding him to your lineup. If you're looking for bang for your buck, you might want to keep searching. Honestly, the competition out there is fierce, and Bonnie just doesn't bring the heat we need in those crucial mid-game rounds. Next on the list is Nightmare Balloon Boy, a mythic unit that's more of a letdown than anything else. Sure, he has Pierce, but his low DPS and range make him a tough sell. And while Coco Boy does bring a bit more to the table with that explosion radius, he's still struggling to keep up. Lastly, we can't forget Nightmare Cupcake and Withered Foxy. The Cupcake's single target DPS is a huge drawback in a game where area control is key. As for Withered Foxy, he was once the creme de la creme, but now he's just another face in the crowd, overshadowed by all the cooler, more effective mid-game units. So, if you're relying on these guys, you might want to reconsider your strategy. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Algae Fredbear, Withered Freddy, Mercenary Foxy, Nightmare Foxy, Endo03, Artillery Puppet, Hooligan Toy Bonnie, Glitched Cupcake, and Jack O Chica. Alright folks, let's dive into the wild world of Five Nights Tower Defense and explore some of the B-tier mid-game units. These guys might not be the top dogs, but they've got some serious potential if you know how to use them. Buckle up, because we're about to unleash some fun on the battlefield. First up is Algae Fredbear. Think of him as a chilled-out version of Withered Golden Freddy. Pretty solid, right? Despite only having a max of 3 placements, he can hold his own and create some nice pressure. Then there's Withered Freddy. He's all about that continuous DPS, but the high upgrade costs can be a bit of a buzzkill. Sure, he's got 3 placements, but if you're not careful with your resources, you might find yourself wishing you'd gone with a different choice. Now, let's talk about Mercenary Foxy. This guy is cheap to place and upgrade, making him a fan favorite. With 4 placements and decent damage, he's a reliable mid-game pick. On the other hand, Nightmare Foxy plays it smart with lower cooldowns and a longer range, although he sacrifices some AoE. Don't forget Endo AO3, who's been recently buffed and is ready to shine with solid single-target DPS and a max placement of 4. And if you need some AoE, the Artillery Puppet has got your back with high base damage, even if its cooldown is a bit rough. So, while these B-tier units might not be the flashiest, they certainly bring their own flair to the game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Slick Bonnie, Nightmare Fredbear, Sentinel Bonnie, Rocketeer Mangle, Withered Golden Freddy, Phantom Golden Freddy, and Pumpkin Balloon Boy. Alright folks, let's dive right into the heart of Five Nights Tower Defense. Today we're taking a closer look at some A-tier mid-game units that might just spice up your strategy without breaking the bank. So, buckle up as we explore these fan-favorite characters. First up, we've got Slick Bonnie. Think of him as Bounty Mangle's little brother. He's got a lower cost range and DPS, but he still packs quite a punch for mid-game battles. If you're looking for a unit that won't empty your pockets but can hold its own against some tougher foes, Slick Bonnie is your guy. Then there's Nightmare Fredbear. He's solid and can certainly get the job done, but let's be real, when you stack him up against powerhouses like War Machine Foxy, he does start to feel a bit outmatched. Still, he's a great choice if you need something reliable without going full-on S tier. Next on our list is Sentinel Bonnie, a slightly less powerful version of War Machine Foxy. Despite being a downgrade, he still offers a lot for the mid-game. And let's not forget Withered Golden Freddy. This guy could even outshine Sentinel Bonnie. With a higher placement count, he can deal more total DPS. But remember, you'll need to invest some cash to truly unlock his potential. Now, if you're after a more explosive style, Rocketeer Mangle might just fit the bill. He boasts one of the best DPS outputs among explosion units, but don't let his low range fool you. He's a blast. Finally, we have Phantom Golden Freddy, who is like a slightly weaker Withered Golden Freddy and Pumpkin Balloon Boy. A splash unit that provides respectable DPS and range, though you might find better alternatives as you progress. So, which of these units will you add to your arsenal? The choice is yours. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Scott, Phantom Balloon Boy, Jacko Cannon, War Machine Foxy, Blind Eye Foxy, Lolbit, Endozo 4, Rave Demon Bonnie, Jacko Bonnie, and Funtime Freddy. Alright, let's dive into the heart of the mid-game madness in Five Nights Tower defense. If you're looking for units that can truly make a difference and help you dominate those pesky waves, you're in the right place. Trust me, these units are your ticket to success when the going gets tough. First up, we've got Scott, the undisputed MVP of mid-game. Seriously, this guy packs an insane punch with his damage, splash, and impressive range. With 6 upgrade levels at your disposal, Scott is designed to solo carry you through those tricky levels. If you want a unit that can handle almost anything on its own, look no further. Then there's Phantom Balloon Boy. While his upgrades can be a bit pricey, his damage and area of effect make him a solid pick. He might not be the most budget-friendly option, but the bang for your buck is definitely there if you can swing those upgrades. Now, let's not forget about Jacko Cannon. Sure, he might not be a starter, but with his low upgrade costs, he can be an absolute steal. He might not top the charts as a mid-game powerhouse, but he gets the job done without breaking the bank. And speaking of powerhouses, War Machine Foxy is in a league of his own. With its high stats and low placement count, you can quickly place and upgrade it, allowing for a smooth transition to your more expensive units. This guy is all about efficiency. And if you need some crowd control, Blind Eye Foxy is your go-to unit. With amazing DPS and the ability to slow down enemies, he's perfect for handling those troublesome bosses. So, whether you're looking for raw damage or strategic control, this mid-game lineup has got you covered. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Anim Dude, Galleon Foxy, Circuit Breaker Freddy, Fazbear Mafia, Mendo, Bounty Mangle, and Flame Empress Chica. Alright, let's dive into the world of Five Nights Tower defense and talk about some of the standout S+ tier mid-game units that are taking the game by storm. These units not only pack a punch, but also bring unique abilities to the table that can make or break your strategy. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on these powerhouses. First up, we've got Endgame. This unit is a massive upgrade over Scott and can seriously elevate your game. However, it's worth noting that upgrading Endgame can get pretty pricey, and the resources needed for crafting him might tempt you to invest in different evolutions. But if you can pull it off, he's definitely worth it. On the other hand, Galleon Foxy is like the hidden gem of mid-game units. His damage output is phenomenal, and his splash attack doesn't just deal damage. It also slows down enemies, making him a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. If you're looking for versatility, Galleon Foxy should be on your radar. Now, let's talk about Circuit Breaker Freddy and Fazbear Mafia. Freddy delivers insane single-target DPS, which is crucial for taking down those pesky bosses. Sure, his placement cost is a bit steep, but the payoff is totally worth it. Then we have Fazbear Mafia, a summon unit that boasts impressive DPS. Seriously, it's one of the best mid-game units right now, and we can't forget about Bounty Mangle with its massive AoE attack and impressive gold farming abilities. Plus, it has a long range and a low cooldown, making it a total powerhouse. Last but not least, we have Flame Empress Chica, who is just too OP for a mid-game unit. With great range, decent cooldowns, and splash burn attacks, she's sure to turn the tide in your favor. So, whether you're crafting strategies or just looking to dominate the leaderboard, these units are a must-have in your arsenal. Finally, let's talk about the best late and support units. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Eclipse Ballora, Music Man, Boombox Foxy, Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Ballora, Maestro Puppet, Plush Trap, Hawaii Endo 02, Endo, The Crying Child, Amalgam, and Fascade. Alright, let's dive into the wacky world of Five Nights Tower Defense and chat about the best support units you can snag for your gameplay. If you want to keep your strategies fresh and your enemies on their toes, you'll want to pay attention to these characters. First up, we have Eclipse Ballora. Seriously, if you haven't unlocked her yet, what are you doing? She's the ultimate support unit right now, buffing both damage and cooldowns for your team. It's like she's giving them an energy drink right before a big game, making her essential for any serious player. Now, let's talk about Music Man. He's a solid choice too, reducing cooldowns for nearby units, which is particularly clutch for those debuffing units that need a little extra time to shine. Then we have Boombox Foxy, who might not quite reach Music Man's cooldown reduction level, but she more than makes up for it with a 25% area of effect slow. So while you're dancing to those tunes, keep an eye on her. She's definitely a contender for the best support slot. Moving down the tier list, we can't overlook Fredbear. Think of him as the improved version of Hawaii Endo 02. He offers a better range boost and allows for one extra unit placement, making him super handy. And if you're looking for versatility, Spring Bonnie is like an upgraded version of Endo, perfect for those endless runs. On the other hand, the Crying Child is an absolute powerhouse. Imagine Amalgam but on steroids. It slows enemies significantly and lets you place 2, which can turn the tide in your favor. So whether you're stacking slows or amplifying damage, there's a support unit in this game that'll fit your playstyle perfectly. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Phantom Chica, Phantom Freddy, Shadow Freddy, Mangle, and Puppet. Alright, let's dive into the wild world of Five Nights Tower Defense and take a closer look at some of the D tier units. Now, don't get me wrong, they each have their quirks, but you might want to think twice before investing in these guys for your endgame strategy. So, buckle up, because this is going to be a fun ride through the land of lackluster units. First up, we've got Phantom Chica. Now, when she's fully upgraded, she's not a total flop. She sports a low cooldown and packs a decent punch with her big AoE explosions. If you're looking for a unit that's a step up from Mangle, Phantom Chica might be your girl. Just don't get too excited. She still lags behind the true heavy hitters in the endgame. Think of her as a kind of bridge unit, useful, but definitely not your MVP. Next in line is Phantom Freddy, who's about as useful as a chocolate teapot. With a limited placement count, unimpressive DPS, and range that leaves much to be desired, he's really struggling to justify that hefty 15k price tag. Honestly, a little buff here would go a long way. And then we have Shadow Freddy, bless his heart. His low total DPS and AoE range make him a poor choice when you could easily pick up Shadow Bonnie or Blighted Endo Freddy instead. And let's not forget Mangle, whose stats are just plain sad. If you want a unit with bad DPS and a range that can barely touch the enemy, Mangle's your gal. Seriously, there's no reason to choose her over other late game units. Finally, we have the infamous Puppet. a unit that's been rebalanced so many times it feels like it needs a support group. With one of the lowest DPSs in the game, you might want to steer clear unless you're really itching for a challenge. So if you're planning your endgame lineup, just remember, D tier is not where the magic happens. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Blighted Endo Freddy, Marionette's Puppeteer, Bounded Shadow, Withered Bonnie, Plain Boy, Enforcer Bonnie, and Phantom Puppet. Alright, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of the C tier units in Five Nights Tower Defense. These units may not be the flashiest or the strongest, but they've got their quirks and charm that can make them fun to play. So, if you're looking to fill out your roster without breaking the bank, you might want to give these guys a look. First up, we've got Blighted Endo Freddy. This guy brings full AoE damage and decent range to the table, but honestly, his performance is just a tad better than Marionette. If you're looking to make a solid investment, you might want to reconsider because you might get more bang for your buck elsewhere. Speaking of budget options, Marionette's Puppeteer is a great choice. Once fully upgraded, it dishes out some seriously high AoE DPS, but be mindful of its limited range. It's perfect for those of us who want to save a few coins while still dishing out the damage. Next, we have Bounded Shadow, a surprisingly effective Pierce Tower with solid DPS stats. However, its low range and just 2 maximum placements keep it from being a top contender. On the flip side, Withered Bonnie offers a long-range, single-target option that, while slightly underwhelming compared to other endgame units, is pretty affordable. If you're on a budget but still want to snag a decent unit, she's a solid pick. Let's not forget Plain Boy, who may be pricey, but he has good range and DPS. Just remember, with only 2 placements available, you're getting less versatility compared to units like Phantom Mangle. Finally, Enforcer Bonnie is a decent stand-in for Valkyrie Chica, though it's not as strong. Still, you can get it with a higher drop rate, so that might just make it worth a try. And then there's Phantom Puppet, essentially a pricier, less effective version of Leviathan Mangle. In the end, while these C-tier units might not steal the spotlight, they definitely bring something unique to your game. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Shadow Bonnie, Phantom Mangle, Leviathan Mangle, Wraith Freddy, Tuned Mangle, Spectral Chica, Clown Trap, Abyssal Foxy, Tangle, and Nightmare. Alright folks, let's dive into the wonderful world of Five Nights Tower Defense and talk about some of the B-tier endgame units. These characters might not be the stars of the show, but they definitely have their charm and can pack a punch when used wisely. So grab your popcorn and let's break them down. First up, we have Shadow Bonnie. Now, this little guy is like a supercharged version of Blighted Endo Freddy, boasting almost 50% more strength. Sure, he has a shorter range and a hefty cost, but in Endless mode, that cost is basically just a number on a screen, right? Next is Phantom Mangle, a solid choice for single-target DPS, but if you're comparing him to legends like Valkyrie Chica, he's got some catching up to do. And let's not forget Leviathan Mangle, who really shines as a Pierce unit. He's perfect for slicing through those pesky hordes, and his single-target damage is pretty decent too. Moving on, we can't skip Wraith Freddy. This full AoE unit is fantastic with damage per second, DPS, that rivals Withered Endo Freddy, plus you get an extra placement. The only downside? That pesky short range. Now, if we're talking about area of effect, Tuned Mangle brings a bigger splash than the original Mangle, but still doesn't hit OP territory. Spectral Chica is another one to watch. She leaves Phantom Chica in the dust with her impressive DPS and range. Meanwhile, Clown Trap has a splash stun, great for crowd control, but his DPS and cooldown leave a bit to be desired, so think of him as a budget version of Circus Baby. And let's wrap it up with Abyssal Foxy, whose slow ability gives him a tiny bit of viability. Otherwise, there are definitely better DPS units out there. Oh, and we can't forget about Tangle. Once a powerhouse, now nerfed into mediocrity, but hey, at least you can snag him for free through the Battle Pass. Lastly, we have Nightmare, who brings a big AoE and poison, but his DPS doesn't quite cut it for the top tier titles. So, whether you're stacking them up or mixing and matching, these B-tier units can still add a lot of fun to your Five Nights Tower Defense experience. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Master Puppeteer, Nightmare Mangle, Springtrap, Valkyrie Chica, Endo 05, Fractured Bonnie, Hydra Mangle, Gunslinger Endo, Nightmare Bonnie, and Circus Baby. Alright, let's dive into the colorful chaos of Five Nights Tower Defense. If you're looking to level up your game with some A-tier units, you're in for a treat. These units aren't just good, they're practically game changers. First up, we have the Master Puppeteer. Don't let those stats fool you. While it might not look like much at first glance, its attacks come with a nifty DOT effect that can multiply its DPS tenfold. Talk about a hidden gem. If you're playing strategically, this unit should definitely be on your radar. Next, let's talk about Nightmare Mangle. This unit packs a punch with its big AoE attack and poison damage, making it a solid choice for clearing out groups of enemies. It even has a placement count of 3, which is pretty handy. The only downside, it's low range. But don't worry, pair it up with some support units or enchanting upgrades, and you've got yourself a powerhouse. And for those of you who love a good piercing attack, Springtrap is your go-to. With insane DPS and 5 piercing projectiles per shot, this unit can shred through foes. Just keep in mind that you can only place 2 of them at a time, so choose wisely. And we can't forget about Valkyrie Chica and Endo 05. Valkyrie Chica is a budget-friendly single-target DPS that's easy to place and upgrade, making her an excellent choice for early game or mid-game strategies. On the other hand, Endo 05 offers a solid stun alongside decent damage output. The catch? His high cooldown can make it tricky to maximize that stun potential. So, balance is key. Lastly, if you want some serious burn damage, Hydra Mangle is your girl. With insane DPS and AoE napalm attacks, she's a force to be reckoned with. And if you're all about that single target life, Gunslinger Endo and Nightmare Bonnie have some of the highest DPS in the game. Just remember to give them a range boost. So get ready to dominate the battlefield with these top tier units. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Nautic Crusher Mangle, Agonized Springtrap, Scarecrow Foxy, Dreadbear, Limitless Shadow, It's Me, Outlaw Freddy, Glitched Puppeteer, Bomber Boy, Jacko Endo, and Reactor Freddy. Alright, let's dive right into the action and chat about some of the absolute best units you can snag in Five Nights Tower Defense. These S-tier endgame units are total game changers, and trust me, if you're looking to elevate your strategy, you'll want to keep an eye on these powerhouse characters. First up, we've got the Nautic Crusher Mangle. This beast is a serious upgrade from the Leviathan Mangle, boasting a mind-blowing DPS, extended placement options, and a longer range. Just be prepared to put in some serious farming time to gather the materials needed for crafting. It's no small feat. Next, we have the Agonized Springtrap. This unit shines with its piercing attack and impressive DPS, but heads up, Fractured Bonnie still holds the crown when it comes to taking down single targets. But don't underestimate Scarecrow Foxy. This splash-type unit not only delivers fantastic stats, but also dishes out burn damage, making it a prime choice for raw DPS. Now, let's not forget about Dreadbear. He's an AoE burn unit that comes with the added bonus of stunning enemies. While his stats might not quite match Scarecrow Foxy, the utility he brings to the table more than makes up for it. If you're after insane damage output, the Limitless Shadow is a must-have, boasting a cone AoE attack that can hit for a whopping 10k damage when fully upgraded. It does have a shorter range, but it more than compensates with its firepower. And for a unit that's all about efficiency, It's Me is a fantastic option, outshining Rave Demon Bonnie and taking up only 1 placement. With all this firepower, it's no wonder these S-tier units are dominating the battlefield. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Astral Bonnie, Old Man Consequences, Valkyrie Prime, RWQFSFASXC, Goliath Endo Freddy, and Nightmarion. Let's dive right into the heart of the action, shall we? If you're serious about dominating in Five Nights Tower Defense, you need to know about the S+ tier endgame units that can take your gameplay to the next level. We're talking about units that not only look cool, but also pack a serious punch. So grab your strategy hats and let's break down these powerhouses. First up, we have Astral Bonnie. This isn't just any unit, she's a continuous splash slow unit with insane DPS. Seriously, if you're looking for utility, she's arguably the best in the game. And being the only Apex rarity unit, she comes with a hefty price tag, but trust me, she's worth every shiny coin. Then we've got Old Man Consequences, who has become a staple in the new meta for AoE towers. With great range, extremely high DPS, and a rapid 0.1 second cooldown, you'll find him to be both cheap to place and easy to upgrade. Just remember, you can only place 1 at a time, so make it count. Now, let's not forget about the absolute juggernauts like RWQFSFASXC, also known as Shadow Bonnie's hypercharged counterpart. Her damage output is just broken, arguably the strongest unit in the game right now. But we can't overlook Goliath Endo Freddy either. With a high placement cost that's absolutely justified, he boasts a fantastic range, full AoE capabilities, and some of the highest base damage numbers in FNTD. He's so OP that he makes you question if the game is even balanced. Last but definitely not least, there's Nightmarion. While her DPS might lag a bit behind GF's, her range is nothing short of insane. Depending on the map, she can even outshine GF. So there you have it. These units are the creme de la creme of Five Nights Tower defense. If you want to rise to the top, you know what to do. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.